Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, trees and multiforms, don't worry. It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to keep you company, take your mind off of stuff. Whether we're, floating through the world on a cloud or a TARDIS, it's time for Sleep With Me. And who am I? Well, I'm Scooter, the host of Sleep With Me, and it's time for Sleep With Me podcast to put you to sleep. And if you're a regular listener, you listen to Sleep With Me like 4 or 5 nights a week, please sit up in your bed right now so you can hear how we're able to bring this podcast, or when your hand hits that fridge tomorrow, check out our sponsors and stuff. Thanks. Hey, everybody, before we get to the episode here, this episode was recorded a little while ago, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to create a safe place, and I'm not perfect. I'm doing the best job I can, but I'm here to create a safe place for you, and that means that Black Lives Matter. So if you're looking for support for yourself or to support the Black members of our community, you could find resources and links in the show notes. Thanks so much. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about a couple things on our Patreon that are new. One, if you're a patron and you're listening, or you're not a patron, use the same link, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. And if you're a patron, right from that link, you'll be able to get the bonus feed. If you do it from your phone or your tablet with a podcast app, you'll log into Patreon, you'll click allow, and you'll be able to subscribe in a bunch of different great podcast apps right there. Just go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. And then you could start listening. Like if you're a patron and you haven't set up the feed, you could listen to the all intro episodes. If you're a $10 and up patron, you could listen to one of the all night episodes. If you're a $5 and up patron, you say, well, I just don't, the singing, it wakes me up. You say, okay, well, the new episodes come out on Sunday and Wednesday. They have no singing in them. And those are full, complete episodes. It's a full intro, full episode. You get it about 10 days before the public does. You say, well, I like story-only episodes. Great. Those come out on Monday and Tuesday. You say, Scoots, I like to be a part of something a little bit more, I want something that no one else. Okay, $10 and $20 patrons right now are getting a series that's only available to them, behind the scenes of the making of Odder Things. And it's super sleepy. Like, you could sleep to it, or you could listen to it during the day, and you say, oh, boy, I never thought about this. On some weekends, patrons get super deluxe episodes with sound design and music. So those are some of the benefits of getting a patron. But the main benefit is pride. You say, okay, I rely on this podcast. I know a lot of work goes into it, and it feels good for me. You know how hard you work to earn your income. And you say, well, Jesus, Scoots probably works just as hard. So I'm proud to support Sleep With Me and the work that goes into the show. And you could do that, or if you're a patron, you could do it right now. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, Patron, or use the link in our show notes. If you're a patron, you could start listening to the bonus content right away. You just add it to your podcast app. And if you're not a patron, you could sign up and say, wait a second. And you could always become a patron, check it out for a month or two. As long as you set up the bonus content, you could test it out and you say, holy moly. Because we actually lost some patrons this month because they said the bonus content was too good, which I guess I said, wait a second, I love to talk to you first. But so if you listen a lot, that's a pretty good sign. You say, well, I like to have a selection, and I like to know the podcast is going to be there. If you agree with any of that and it's in your budget, $5, $10, $20 a month, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about that sponsor that I sleep with and now I shower with, and that's Brooklinen. Hey, Mr. Bard, let's set it up right now. BROOKLINEN, right?
BROOKLINEN. BROOKLINEN.
That's right. You've heard me talk about Brooklyn and about changing your sheets every Sunday or every other Sunday and how luxurious that is. But maybe you've also heard me talk about my hammam towels, my new bath mat, and now my new plush towels from Brooklyn, which are absolutely amazing. Between the Brooklyn towels and the bath mat, they've turned my bathroom into a place. It feels like I'm going to a spa. I let my feet sink into that luxurious bath mat, and then I get out and I have a plush towel to wrap myself in and dry off. So soft, so cozy, and especially in the warm weather, the towel's so comfortable. I'll wear it around the house for a while. I say, well, this is I'm enrobed in a towel. It's a way for me to feel good after my shower and take a little luxury with me and stay comfortable for the rest of the day, or at least till somebody knocks on my door. So think about it. Think about the bedding you're in right now. Think about your towels. Do you want a set of towels that you could really look forward to using? And then when guests come that you could really feel proud about your guests using, you say, oh boy, I got my super plush towels for both. Brooklyn's got a selection of different towel styles. Like I said, I have the super plush ones, and then I have the hammam towels. And Brooklyn is a place to find all the comforts for home, including ultra soft towels. They're so confident in the product. Everything comes with a lifetime warranty. And if you use the promo code WITHME, you'll get 10% off your first order at brooklinen.com. And as Mr. Bard's saying, that's BROOKLINEN.com, and use the promo code WITHME. And let me know about it. Tag Brooklinen, tag me in a social media post so I know, let us know what towels you got. What colors did you choose? That's Brooklyn and everything you need to live your most comfortable life. And don't forget to use that promo code with me. Thanks, Brooklyn. And all right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The one part of the podcast I need you to hear is the part of the podcast where I get to thank the listeners who supported the sponsors, who that enables me to bring you this podcast and be here for you. So it's one of my favorite parts of the show. And I want to thank Chrissy and Hoff and Zoe, who all supported Daily Harvest. Oh, boy, if you haven't tried the carrot and cinnamon smoothie, I did. I talked about that one. Then last week I had the ginger and green smoothie. Whoa, it is so delicious. So check that out. Check out Daily Harvest. If you support a sponsor, tag them on social media or send them an email and let me know, or tag them, tag me, so they know our partnership is valuable, especially companies like Kiwico, Native, Quip, Daily Harvest, Helix, that are really here with the show, bringing it to you. Let them know their partnership is valuable, and I can try to thank you on the Sleepy Supporter Zone like Chrissy Hoff and Zoe. Thank you. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need, whether it's self-care, mental health, supporting the Black members of our community because Black lives matter, or looking at yourself and how you can become part of the solution. I'll have some helpful links to organizations and information in the show notes. And the third part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is something I support. You know what I support is wearing a mask here in the U.S. I support artists like Ashley Slade Art. I'm so proud to support Ashley. She does the GIFs and the gifts for the show. And Ashley is supporting LA Food Bank when you support her by purchasing a mask from her store that I'll link to. So talk about a wonderful triple play combo. I'll have links to that in the show notes. And that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. We're raising money for the Water Wheel Foundation, and Scooter might get a
Thanks, Mr. Bard. I'm at Dearest Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me. And if a free way to support the podcast, just spread the word, whether it's online or in person or on Zoom or, whatever we call it now in digital. Especially if you use a platform like LinkedIn that I don't really use, spread the word on there, just when it comes up in conversation. And what do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature or schedule. So anything on your mind that you're thinking about, anything you're feeling or coming up for you emotionally, or physical sensations, but also, you might work a second or third shift. You might be on call. You might have, might have a lot of other stuff going on. Whatever it is, I'm here to take your mind off of that and help you fall asleep. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to create a safe place. I'm going to smooth it, this safe place. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. I'm going to say safe place. I'm making the motion with my hands of smoothing and patting. Just like it was a cushiony safe place. And we have plenty of place. You say, well, I prefer a softer. I say, oh boy, I guess. So you want soft, medium, firm, soft and firm? I got it all. You say, I don't whether you prefer soft serve, hard serve, gelato, yogurt. We got a safe place that metaphorically fits the bill. If you have a bill, like you're a duck-based being, like you're related to Howard the Duck, or something else, we have plenty of places that are comfortable. Bills or no bill. You say, okay, I got a bill. I'm a platypus. I say, well, you're in the right place because I got a holy mackerel. So whatever it is, the way I establish it, though, is what I really do is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, which you've already heard. And you might be not sure about the creaky, dulcet tones, so give it a try. I'm going to also use, have pointless meanders, whatever those are called, pre-words, before words were formulated, back in the, most of my brain is primordial soup. It's been identified recently. And so some of my words are primordial words. Say, that's not even, that's not a root, is it? It's more like, and I'd say, no, it's like clumps of dirt. I don't even have, some of my words are not based on any roots. They're just, stuff like that. Primordial words, or word fragments, I guess, in this case. Pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I go off topic all the time. But all that is to kind of take your mind off stuff and help you fall asleep. Now, if you're new, quite a few things I want to let you know about to establish some rapport, if possible, and to start the process of me earning your trust, because that's really what my job is as bedtime storyteller. And this is asking you to participate in something that's a little bit different. So that's a few things. One, if you're skeptical or doubtful or unsure about this podcast or my voice or my manner, that is totally normal. I would say 95% of regular listeners had the same reaction you're having now. Because you might say, what's a creaky dulcet tone? Or you might say, how are you going to put me to sleep? Or when are you going to get to the point? Or what are you up to? Are you sure you know what primordial soup is or fragments or what? And I say, no, not really. I'm not sure about really anything except for my intention, which I'll kind of run through in a second. But first I got to go off topic. Well, I got to kind of stay on topic. So if you're doubtful, give the show a few tries. That's what millions of listeners have said. Well, it took 2 or 3 tries before I got used to the podcast. So you could just kind of see how it goes. Also, the podcast is not best. It's best consumed loosely or out of focus or barely listening. This is one of the few podcasts you don't need to listen to. They have this thing called active listening. Then you can have pretend active listening where you're kind of listening to something. In Sleep With Me's case, it's almost like reflective listening. You say, well, my brain's not necessarily calculating what you're saying, but I know your words are reflecting off my eardrums. So kind of just see how it goes, but you don't need to pay too much attention. Or if you're kind of waiting and wondering when things are going to get started, they probably will get barely started at some point. But it's going to take a while because that's just part of the show, which I'll explain in more detail in a second. But the other thing is now there's every day there feels like there's more and more sleep podcasts or sleep solutions. And believe it or not, I've been doing this show since 2013. This podcast is not really meant to put you to sleep. It's more here to keep you company as you fall asleep. My purpose is more to take your mind off of stuff so you can fall asleep, like to kind of clear off the old, clear off that thing and say, hey, you pay attention to me instead of paying attention to your brain, the old, the more feisty parts of your brain that come up at bedtime. Or feelings or physical sensations. I'm here to distract you and keep you company. Be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar cuz, your boar sib, your boar bestie. If you're in San Diego, Bora, or, wherever, if you're out there on, somewhere else where, so that's my job, is to keep you company as you drift off. Another thing that can throw new people off is the idea that the podcast is structured very differently. So our show starts off with a welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, so that everybody knows they're welcome, they're seen, and my goal is to treat you all with dignity and respect. Then we have business, and that's how we're just that's just the reality to bring you the show for free. And there's maybe, I don't know, just somewhere between 2 and 8 minutes of business. Then there's an intro, which is around 12 to 20 minutes long. Sometimes people feel like that's business too, but it's really, there's no business. I guess I'm in no business of doing podcast intros because our intro, most intros you'd say, well, shouldn't an intro be like 2 minutes? And shouldn't you just get to the point? And I'd say, well, not necessarily. In a sleep podcast, what I've discovered is the intro gives you a chance to wind down. And now there is 2% of listeners that skip ahead straight to the story. And then there's a couple thousand listeners that support the show on Patreon and listen to story-only episodes. But other than that, whatever, the other couple 100,000 people listen to the intro. And the way that kind of works is that the idea of the intro is that as you become a regular listener, you see what works for you. But the intro is kind of supposed to be part of your wind down routine, or that's what I discovered. So some people start it as they're getting ready for bed and they're starting their wind down routine or their bedtime routine or their skincare routine or stretching or journaling or knitting. Petting animals, doodling, quiet sitting. So you could kind of see, or some people start it when they get into bed and they're just getting comfortable and letting the day drift away. So the intro is your runway. For regular listeners, it's new because every intro is different, but it's also familiar because my attempt to make the intro make sense is like it's happened, whatever, almost 900 times now. So then after the intro, there'll be some business. And then we'll talk about an episode of Doctor Who, a David Tennant episode. And if you don't watch Doctor Who or you're a super fan or you never even heard of it or you're worried about spoilers, don't worry. My recap will be very sleepy and it might not make any sense to anybody. I mean, I'm sure I don't think I could confuse the doctor. I think the doctor would be able to the doctor would probably just, I think me and the doctor would get along pretty good. You say, which doctor would you get along with best, Scoots? And I'd say, well, I mean, they're all pretty cool, but, well, I'm not covering Jodie Whittaker's doctor, maybe, we could see, but so, what was I saying? Sorry, I'm blushing now. Oh, but so what was I saying? Oh, this podcast doesn't make any sense. Oh, so we'll talk about Doctor Who, but in a very indirect way. And then there's some thank yous at the end of the show. So that's the structure of the show. You don't need to listen to it. No pressure to fall asleep. Now, the reason I make the show is because I've been there and I know how it feels in the deep, dark night, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. All those things happen for me. Waking up super early, waking up, all that stuff I'm familiar with, and I know how it feels, and I don't want that for you. Or in some sense, I just don't want the dread that comes with that. I want to be able to create a situation where Sleep With Me becomes part of a routine with other cool stuff that, might looking at flowers or maybe you do some flower pressing or leaf pressing or something. And you start listening to Sleep With Me and you say, okay, well now at bedtime, I know I'm going to do some stretching, some quiet sitting. I'm going to get out my waxed paper and press a leaf or press a flower or look at a pressed leaf from, the autumn. And I'm going to listen to Scoots. That's not half bad. So it kind of interrupts that bedtime dread. The other reason I make the show is because I know, not only do I know how it feels, but I believe you deserve a good night's sleep. And it might be harder for you to believe that. I mean, believe me, I know, but I believe that. I know that. I don't believe it. I know you deserve a good night's sleep. And I also know our world will be a better place if you have a little bit of rest. If there's a little bit more rest and rested people in there. People are going to flourish. So that's my goal. I just do it a little bit differently. So the main advice regular listeners give is give it a few tries and just see how it goes. There's really nothing to lose except for a little bit of time. Now, some of you might already know that you don't like the show or you don't enjoy me, and that's cool too. I do have a site, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. You could check out as well. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found your way to the show. I work really hard because I really want to help you fall asleep. So again, I appreciate you coming by and I hope I can help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring you this podcast for free. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots. I wanted to check in with you about a couple of things. If you're a regular listener, you listen to the show 3-4 times a week or more, or you listen all night long, or you're already a patron. Did you know if you're a patron or if you're interested in it, you could go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, Patron. And for patrons, if you're doing that from your phone or your tablet, that'll open up the Acast feed. You could set it up right then just by using that link. But if you're not a patron, you could sign up and think about if you have an extra $5, $10, $20 a month in your budget, you could think about becoming a patron if you get a lot of value out of the show. If you need more content, you say, well, I listen to all the, I have to listen. You say, okay, well, there's in the $10 and $20 feeds, I think there's over 1,000 items in those feeds. Older episodes from episode 355 and up, story-only episodes, all intro episodes, all night episodes, and our exclusive patron-only series, Behind Odder Things. It's a behind-the-scenes show that you could sleep to. So think about it. And I mean, it comes down to, one, do you really value the podcast? Do you get a lot out of the podcast? Would it feel good to you to support the podcast that puts you to sleep? Can you do so? And then the deal gets sweeter. You say, well, that's the main reward is feeling really good. But you say, wait a second, I get old intro episodes, story-only episodes? Well, think about it. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. But the real thing is the pride in membership, the pride at being a rebel, so rebellious you pay for a free podcast because you get something out of it. And then you support the podcast literally for thousands of other people. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, it's time to talk about that sponsor, Kiwico. Right. Well, Mr. Bart, why don't you sing early? Because I love that Kiwico song. It gets me every time. It gets me dancing.
Kiwico, a Kiwico, science and art subscription box for kids. Kiwico, a Kiwico, sleep is a promo code for Kiwico.
Thanks, Mr. Bart. Now, some of you might feel like your summer vacation started super early this year, and now that the real summertime has arrived, doesn't mean you have to stop learning at home and creating at home and making at home. And Kiwico is an unbelievably fun way to learn at home. And for kids, not only to learn tactile skills, intellectual skills, but to learn skills that they can really feel good about. We switched to a Maker Crate subscription recently, and I've never seen my daughter more focused and then more proud. Last month's Maker Kit was an embroidered lamp. So she made her own lamp using sashiko embroidery. So not only is it a lamp, but she learned embroidery skills. She learned patience. But I don't know, every time I look at that lamp, I'm proud of her. But I know every time she looks at the lamp, she thinks about all of the steps it took to put it together and that she did it. I mean, I'm not kidding. If you have a kid in your life, whether it's at your home or a neighbor or a friend or a family member, it is time to sign them up for Kiwico. And these are really high quality materials, real engineering, science, and art projects. But everything you need is included. So you don't have to worry about gathering anything or finding anything. And you can really feel good about doing your part to encourage the children in your life to be innovators and creative thinkers. And then when they're finished, they're going to have a big, confident smile knowing the work they put in and the lessons they learned. Kiwico is redefining play with hands-on projects that build confidence, creativity, and critical thinking skills. You get your first month free on select crates at kiwico.com/sleep. So did you hear that? Your first month free on select crates. So I don't know what you're waiting for. I mean, seriously, I feel like I should be hearing from every listener about who they send a Kiwico box to, because you're going to get so much back as the giver, and then the kid you give it to is going to get even more. So get over there. That's kiwico.com/sleep. KIWICO.com/sleep. Get over there and let me know about it. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody. We're talking about the latest episode, Doctor Who, season 3, the first episode, even though there was a special. This is the first episode of the season. And it's called Smith and Jones. It opens with the TARDIS and the visualizers. Remind me of the old iTunes visualizers back in the day, long ago, or even before iTunes, I think. We see a city, we see a woman, there's music playing, a woman, a familiar woman. I've seen her before. I mean, at least I have. I say, well, yeah, like, I say, I've seen her before. She's very familiar, and she's on the phone. Martha's her name. She seems to be talking to her, like, younger sister. They're planning a party. There's also, like, the sound of her ringtone is like the in the U.S., there was a thing called Nextel that had push to talk. It kind of sounds like that. The party planning is not going well. I think it's her brother's 21st birthday. But I'm not 100% positive about that. Let me see, 21st birthday. How do I do that? Tell him he can't bring her. Oh, Anna Elise. There's something else. What's wrong with Anna Elise? The mom and Anna Elise don't get along is what's wrong with her. I just want to see what my thing, yeah, but the mom and Annalise aren't going to get it wrong. Annalise, she calls her dad. At some point, the doctor walks up to her. Oh, and what does the doctor say? I couldn't figure that out. But she's playing at the party. The doctor walks up to her and says, you see, or like so, you see. Let me see what the, like so. Yeah, like so, you see. He takes off his tie, shows her, and then just walks off. And, of course, she's very confused. He takes off his tie. Did I say that? Also, there's a storm brewing in the air, as usual. As Martha's going into a building, she gets bumped by a biker, motorcyclist, a very modern leather, like a full leather bodysuit and helmet on. Safety first. She says, watch it. So we say Martha stands up for herself. She goes to her locker. She puts on a lab coat. She notices some static in the air. Then we have the scene very reminiscent of the idea of the movie Paper Chase, which I don't think I've ever, I think it's always been on my thing to see, and I've seen parts of it. And I also think it was a TV show, but the idea, or the Prada, the Diablo Wears Prada, or Whiplash. But this is like more of a buffoon, this mentor, rude mentor archetype. But this person's just more of a mansplainer, but he has that rude mentor archetype type thing going. More rude, though. Did I say that? He talks about salt. Hippocrates loves salt, he says. Then we see there's two leather bikers visiting this workplace in helmets. Then they go in to check on Mr. Smith, John Smith, who's the doctor. He's all cheery. Let's see what they say. They say, how you doing? He goes, I don't know. And they say, he's got a tummy ache. And they say, check him out. Martha tries to check him, but she says she hears 2 heartbeats, you know. She also says, didn't I just see you outside? He goes, no. And what did I do? She goes, what was that? He goes, no, I've been in here the whole time. And she goes, well, that's weird. It looked like you. You got a brother? He goes, not anymore, just me. Then the mentor is still going on and on and on. More people are dealing with static. He says, yeah, then the mentor type says, his name's something Stern, of course. And he says, Stoker Stern? Oh, Stoker, yeah. He says, yeah, storm's coming. But the doctor talks about his time with Benjamin Franklin, and they say, okay, maybe you should have somebody talk to you about that, because that doesn't seem possible. The doctor's all smiles all the time. You know how that is. Then we have Martha in a break room. Oh, he says, my mate Ben. Yeah, I held that kite with, I flew that kite with Benjamin Franklin. My mate, Ben. But Martha's in the break room. Her sister calls her about lunch. She's bringing lunch by. And Martha says, it's raining. And the sister says, no rain where I am. I'm just down the street, though. That's weird. And she goes, oh, there's a weird storm above your workplace. Martha also sees the doctor walking around in his robe, wandering the halls. Martha goes to do more party planning for this party tonight. And then her coworker says, have you seen the rain? The rain, it's going up. And Martha says, no, that's not possible. And then she says, wait a second, it is possible because it is going up. Then it gets a bit bumpy. Spoiler alert, because their entire building has become a ship. I believe, or it's just, it may be like transporting, or it's a ship. I'm not sure because they don't show that part. And after the turbulence, they're in the break room and they say, it's nighttime, Martha says. And they say, no, it's not possible. It was lunchtime, her and her coworker, but it's dark outside. Martha goes, it's not dark outside. We're on the moon. We're on the moon. She says, twice, and then she says, we're on the she says, you know, a very harvest moon. We're on the harvest moon, which is the actual moon. So everybody in the whole building, and they are. Then they pulls back to see that they are on the moon. And of course, then it goes to a commercial because you say, okay, they're on the moon, office building is on the moon. So I say, well, that's strange. Not something I'd consider possible. Then we come back from the ad and everyone is looking out the window. They're at the Royal Hope, is where they work, helping people hope for royal stuff. Everyone's looking out the window. It's a little stressful because they say we're on the moon, unexpected. Martha's sister's back on Earth. She says there's a big hole. She calls Martha, there's a big hole where your office was. But of course, Martha's not answering her phone. We see the TARDIS in the background. Everybody's, again, a little bit running around saying, are we really on the moon or am I dreaming? We see the Earth in the background. Martha goes around. She takes control. You see, okay, this woman is very competent and self-aware. And she says, everybody get back to bed. Very professional. She says, we'll sort it out. Don't worry. I work here. You're all guests in the Hope Pavilion. And she says, she looks out again. She says, it's real. It's real. Let's see. Where does she say that? I was just looking up the notes. She gets her back to bed. She looks at the reel. She goes, it's real. It's really real. Hold on. And then they look out the windows, her and her coworker, and they say, okay, well, how is this possible, though, that we're on the moon because we're not in a spaceship? And she goes, well, because Martha wants to open the windows. And other woman says, don't open the windows. We're in space. Martha says, yeah, but the windows aren't airtight. Then the doctor says, well, holy cow, that's a great point. He rolls up behind them. He says, Joan, was it Martha Jones? He goes, so is this possible? And then the other person says, no, not possible. And the doctor says, okay, never mind. Martha? He goes, any balcony or veranda? She says, yeah, out back. He goes, you want to go outside? She goes, okay. He goes, might be, might be strange. She goes, might not be strange. And the doctor says, leave your coworker behind because they're not up to speed with us. Then they go out on a balcony on the moon. Martha goes, holy cow, how's that work? Doctor goes, just be glad it's working. She goes, I got to go to a party tonight. And the doctor goes, are you okay? She goes, okay. He goes, are you sure? She goes, yeah. And he goes, you want to go back inside? She goes, well, I mean, it's strange, but she goes, it's also beautiful. And the doctor goes, yeah. And she goes, yeah, I mean, how many people want to go to the moon and we're here? So I said, wow, this is an impressive person. And the doctor has some great lines, standing in the earthlight. And then he pulls up a card. She goes, what do you think? And the doctor goes, what do you think? And she says, well, it's got to be extraterrestrial because everything else, she's been aware of everything that's been happening, unlike in the last episode where people had too much cognitive dissonance. And then she talks about her cousin Adiola, who worked at Canary Wharf, who we know from the cyber people. And doctor says, yeah, I was there. And she goes, listen, Mr. Smith, if we can get to the moon, we can get home. I'll find a way. And he goes, well, I'm not Mr. Smith. And she goes, who are you then? He goes, I'm the doctor. She goes, well, I'm working on that myself. And she goes, what is it, Dr. Smith? He goes, no, just the doctor. She goes, what do you mean just the doctor? He goes, just the doctor. And she goes, people call you the doctor. And he goes, yeah. And she goes, well, you're going to have to earn that. And the doctor says, okay, I'll try to do that. I could try to do that. He throws a pebble off the balcony. It hits a force field. And she goes, okay, like a bubble. She goes, well, that means we have a ticking clock then. And he goes, we certainly do have a ticking clock now for this episode. And she goes, who would do something? And then we see spaceships come in. Heads up, the doctor says. They're like tube-like spaceships. They fly in vertical tubes, and then they come in and land. Everyone's looking out the window saying, what in the heck? Martha says, aliens. They're aliens, real proper aliens. The doctor says they're Jadoon is their name. They do a lot of marching off their ship. They're wearing a lot of leather in this episode. Then we have Mr. Stoker. I think he's in his office, and a woman comes in. She goes, "Can you help me?" He goes, "Yeah, well, I need help. I want to retire. I was going to retire in Florida. Now we're on the moon." And she goes, "I could use some help, Mr. Stoker." And he goes, "No, I don't think so." And she goes, "Well," he goes, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" She goes, "Yeah, straws. I need straws." And he goes, "Well, straws are property of the hospital. You get one straw per drink." She goes, "No, I need more. I like to have two straws." And he says, "Absolutely not." But then we realize the bikers are with her. So they say, "We'll take as many straws as we want." And she goes, "By the way, you were right about Hippocrates and salt." And she has some good lines here. She says, "Geez, doctor, someone that's hoarding straws is a little bit strange, when you've, drink all these vintage wines and have Michelin star sauces." And she goes, "We'll be taking as many straws as we like, by the way." Then we go to another commercial on that because you say, bum, 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 total chaos now. They're on the moon and people are just taking as many straws as they want. And I think even Mr. Stoker's like, "What are you going to use them at home?" And people don't really use straws at home except for people that do. And he goes, "You could just buy," he goes, "it's more convenient to, why wouldn't you want a higher quality straw anyway?" But that doesn't take place. Then we see marching leather. These beings are they're marching in leather. People are a little bit like, what's going on? Because there's big boots and marching. They're in the waiting room. Also, they have like superhero abs, whoever these people are, which we find out immediately. They're rhinos, humanoid rhinos, Jadoon, as we said. There's also a rhyme. Where is it? Rhinos with abs. That's not the rhyme. Doctor says something. They march in. People say, oh, let's see. Also, where is it? They pass in. Blows so full do no crow below cost so row. That's what the first Jadoon says. Then they figure out how to talk English with their translator. And they say, "Hey, we're just here to catalog. We're actually a catalog. We're doing a catalog of everything that's in here. Every piece of, every person. We're just simply like a librarian, inventory specialists." And so they say, "We're going to take status of everything." And then there's a callback to another episode because the doctor and Martha are looking down at this. The doctor goes, "Oh, you got a little shop there. I like a little shop," which in another episode, he said, "There's no shop in this place." Martha says, "Who are the Jadoon?" He says, "Well, they're kind of accountants, inventory specialists, librarians, but they're very authoritative." And she goes, "Why the moon?" He goes, "Neutral territory. They can't do anything on Earth, so they came here to run their, whatever you call that, accounting." She goes, "Accounting of fine." And he goes, No. Like everything, every person and thing here, they just want to get it under, cataloged." He goes, "But they're looking for something like out of order, probably someone that's taking more than their allotted share, either someone that works here or Stoker or this woman. I'll just tell you. Yeah, but the doctor is like always impressed with Martha. So he keeps giving her these looks, and the Jadoon keep looking around. They see, that's it. We're just here to catalog. So no reason to be stressful. Except for one guy says, "Catalog this," and he smashes a vase for some reason. And they say, "Well, you're going to have to pay for that, man." Then the doctor and Martha are trying, let's see, they use a UV scanner. They have very nice teeth, these Jadoons. They use Sharpies. When you've been cataloged or something's been cataloged, you get an X on it, which doesn't seem like the most, I guess it seemed like on your hand. Or I guess they use a smaller X on items. Yeah, they say, "Prepare to be cataloged, vase breaker. Justice is swift," he says, "for vase breakers, full pay." Doctor tries to scan a computer with a sonic screwdriver. She goes, "What?" He goes, "It's a sonic screwdriver." She goes, "What?" He goes, "No, screwdriver that's sonic." She goes, "What do you got, a laser spanner?" And he goes, "I did, but I was taken by Emily Pankhurst." Anyway, Jadoon locked down the computers. He goes, this is so weird. He goes, I knew there was something going on at this building, but I thought it was inside and not that the building was going to get transported. And she goes, well, what are they looking to catalog? He goes, probably someone taking more than they're allowed to take. I thought Scoots covered it. And he goes, it wouldn't be a human because humans, he goes, it's some other being that's not supposed to be here and not supposed to be taking things. And he goes, the problem with that is the whole office could get blamed because, and she goes, well, we better figure something out. Then she goes, I'll go talk to Mr. Stoker because he's the boss, see if he knows what's happening. She goes into his office and the bikers are there and the straw lady. And it turns out Stoker had a lot of straws in his desk. So they were collecting his personal straw collection. So the bikers, she says, Martha's caught me straw-handed. So the bikers run after Martha. Martha bumps into the doctor. Doctor and Martha hold hands, that old hold hand running thing. They run from the bikers. The rhinos are on the stairs grunting. There's run, run, run music. Then the doctor says, okay, well, I think he goes, I got an idea. He goes, I think because of the way their bicycle helmets are, they're polarized. And he goes, there's a special flash cameras in this room and it'll confuse the biker. So they do that. It actually confuses the biker that comes in. Doctor says 5,000% higher flash. So that biker just goes, I got to go home. But the doctor goes, I also got to get the flash. He shakes his shoe off because he says, I'm a doctor. I got flash, I'm the doctor. So I got to get this flash energy out into my shoe. He does this funny dance. Martha says, you're completely mad. And he goes, you're right, I better take both my shoes off. And he says, barefoot on the moon. I love that line. And Martha says, what's up with these bikers? He goes, they're not human, a slab, solid leather. They say, Martha goes, well, it's Miss Finnegan. I think that was the one taking all the straws. Doctor's broken his sonic screwdriver. And Martha goes, one of the people taking the straws, the doctor goes, what about my sonic screwdriver? She goes, she was taking all the straws. He goes, my sonic screwdriver? And he tosses it. And he goes, you called me doctor. And she goes, anyway, Miss Finnegan, she's the one taking the straws, not human. Doctor goes, so she's trying to hide out and take the straws. Interesting. Internal, she's probably going to hide the straws, but still get cataloged, and she does, and she gets a human, marked as human, Miss Finnegan. We go to another commercial after that. So already, this is a really enjoyable thing. I'm watching this on BBC America, so I do have to jump through the commercials here. But I really like this, and then by the end of this episode, there's great chemistry. Or maybe I just feel like I have chemistry with Martha, and then I'm projecting it, which is possible. So we see one of the other biker in the hall looking around, marching, arms out, really doing some stern walking. Doctor and Martha are hanging out. The doctor goes, that's the thing about slabs. They travel in pairs. Martha goes, what about you? He goes, what about me? What? She goes, don't you have a partner or something? Backup? I love that little tease there. And he goes, oh, humans, we're on the moon and you want to ask me personal questions. And she goes, I don't believe that you're not human anyway. Then they'd been so distracted that one of the rhinos is there. He busts them. And he scans the doctor. He goes, you're not human. And we're looking for non-humans connected, looking for straws. So we're going to have to check you. And then the doctor and Martha, they take off running because they say, well, we got to solve this procedure because there's a ticking clock. And the rhino goes, non-human. So they run in the door, lock the door. There's a lot of people getting tired because they said, looking at the moon took a lot out of me. So everybody else is running out. Doctor goes, well, we've already been on the Jadoon already checked this floor. They're logical and somewhat dense. So I don't know if they're going to come back here. Hopefully. And they go, how much time's on the ticking clock? Doctor goes, not much. He goes, Martha, how you feeling? She goes, I'm running on adrenaline. Doctor goes, welcome to my world. And they go, let's go to Stoker's office. What should they do next? They see Stoker. And they say, okay, well, like, he goes, this is a straw collector, clearly from the straw collection. So she's been collecting straws from other places. That's why the Jadoon are here to put a stop to it. But he goes, she's clever. She's undercover. Clever as me, almost. Then they go out in the hall, and the doctor says, because the rhinos are still coming, and the rhinos are looking for him. He goes, Martha, I need you to buy me some time, hold them up. She goes, how do I do this? He goes, just give me, he goes, this is going to be a big move. He goes, but it means nothing, honestly, nothing. And he gives her a kiss that made it really curled my toes. And the look on Martha's face, and she goes, that was nothing? Oh, boy, holy moly. So there's a makeout. Then the doctor does this Fletch thing. He goes into the room, some good comedy. He goes in the room that Miss Finnegan's in, because she's trying to make a straw transporter to transport all the straws off-world, off-moon. But she doesn't care. She wants to get away from the Jadoon, get away with the straws, and she doesn't care about any consequences for, humanity or whatever. But the doctor doesn't, he plays the dumb. So he goes, hey, there's like these rhinos, ma'am, because she's dressed as a human. And he goes, they're from outer space. He goes, do you know we're on the moon with rhinos? He goes, I was here for bunion repair. And he goes, really nice. He goes, I love this place. Royal Hope, they should say, that's a perfect name for this. And he goes, and we're on the moon with rhinos. And Florence says to the other biker, can you check him for straws? Also, I might need his clothes to go undercover as him. Then we see the rhinos looking. Martha stands in their way. And she goes, I know where the person that has the straws is. They scan her. They go, wait, human? No, wait, non-human element. Let's do a full scan. Who are you? What are you? Then they go back to the doctor. He's still playing dumb. He goes, what are you doing? Transport straws? He goes, this is some sort of Tesla coil. She goes, yeah, kind of. She goes, it's strong, though. I'm going to send these straws off-world, 250,000 miles away. But it will disrupt everything in that vicinity. She goes, but, yeah, I got to get off here. So I'm going to get out of here really quick. But the rhinos will probably be mad. And the doctor goes, okay, I'm just a post person, with bunions. She goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, well, I'm going to fly one of the spaceships. And he goes, well, that's weird. Are you some sort of alien? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, no, you don't look like that. You're joshing me. She goes, I'm not kidding. He goes, I'm talking to an alien. That's the coolest thing. She goes, yeah, it's the perfect way to hide straws. Pretend you're human. Humans have more straws for some reason. And he goes, the rhinos are looking for you. She goes, yeah, but, and then he does a double dum-dum. He goes, oh, wow. He goes, oh, no wonder. He goes, they said they're going to level 2 scanning. And she goes, oh, boy. Well, then I definitely better take your clothes because I got to pretend I'm human. I better pretend I'm another human other than me. And the doctor says, well, what would you like to have cake with my wife and I first? And she goes, well, I have straws. Why would I have cake? And he goes, well, we could have banana milkshakes. And she goes, you're funny. And I think you're laughing on purpose. Why don't you take a nappy poo? And with my biker friend here, while I check you for straws and take your clothes and go undercover. And then they go to an ad. And, yeah, we're like about 44 minutes into the show with the ads, of 106 minutes of my recording on BBC America. And I guess this is going to go to HBO Max, all of these, but I don't know what the dates of any of that are. So let's see, Martha gets confirmed as human. Then they give her, like this readout, that says you'll need this. And she says, so what for? And they say compensation, but it's written in alien readout. She's confirmed as human. But she's had facial contact with an alien. Then the rhinos come into the room that, whatever, Miss Harrington's in or whatever, Florence. And they say, what's going on in here? They say case closed. I think that was with Martha, though. And they say, oh, this guy's asleep. And Martha goes, yeah, but he's not supposed to be asleep. And Martha goes, she's the one that's a alien straw thief. And the woman goes, no, I'm not. Look I'm in a suit. And Martha goes, and why do you have bare feet if you're in a suit? That's the doctor's suit. And he goes, that's why the doctor's on the floor in a robe and a pink nightgown. But the rhinos don't realize that these aren't the like normal clothes of the tradition. And she goes, she's just taking his clothes. She's not human. And they go, no, no, no. And then so she scans her with the scanner and it says not human, of course. And she says, oh yeah, she goes, I'm not. And they go, no, no, you're the straw person. Actually, and we're here because you took all the straws from the child princess of Partival Regency 9. And she says, well, she had too many straws. Pink cheeks, blonde curls, a simpering voice, and all straws she could have wished. I was jealous, and I'm still jealous. And then she says, Slab, deal with this. Biker Slab. And then Biker Slab is out, quick justice style. Then Florence says, by the way, this thing that I'm using to transfer the straws is going to mess everything else up. So you're toast. Then they send her off world. Case closed. Overload. They say case closed, evac. We're getting out of here then. If your straw transfer is going to mess everything up, of human straws, we just wanted to take care of the princess's straws anyway. But we followed a trail of straw thieving here. And Martha says, you got to help us. And they go, no, we're getting out of here. Jurisdictions ended. And she goes, you can't leave. And they say, yeah, let's withdraw. Then everybody's very, very tired. Martha's like, you can't leave us here. You got to be kidding me. Let's see, what else? So tired. Everybody's so tired. We see Martha, she kisses the doctor back, and we see the big X on her hand. Once she kisses the doctor, they both are very tired, but the doctor still comes back. He tries to shut down the straw transfer, but he has no sonic screwdriver. But because of constraints, he goes, I could just unplug it. Then he carries Martha off as the tube ships take off. And then he says, I hope they're going to reverse this thing. Because if they don't, then... they should, which they do. And then it starts raining in reverse or raining on the moon. There's a flash and they go back to normal Earth. Everybody's waiting there. So the building just reappears and everybody comes out. It gets hugs. Everybody's happy. Martha's sister's there. Hugs her. What does that say? I think they go right back into party planning or something. I'll have to read that. But we see the doctor waves goodbye to her. Yeah, there's also other people like bragging. Yeah, and they say, okay. everybody's, oh, mom and dad, yeah, we're wanting to know what's going on, what happened. So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, Martha looks, yeah, the doctor waves goodbye. Martha looks, and then Martha looks again. The TARDIS is gone. Then we go to another commercial. When we come back, Martha's getting ready for the party, and she's getting in her party gear, and she's listening to the radio where someone on the radio is talking about how we're not alone. Reports coming in. We got one of the interns talking that is a know-it-all, but they say, I think Mr. Saxon is right. We're not alone. There's life out there, wild and extraordinary life. And then we see the moon in a really cool shot because it looks like it's a sky shot of the moon. It's really the moon reflected in a puddle. The Anna Elise steps in the puddle. We see a lot of discord from the party. Everyone, no one's happy. Everyone, interpersonal drama between Annalise, everybody, except for Martha's trying to make peace. And her younger sister's just trying to say, geez, the DJ's going to play some good songs. Let's get back to the party. Quiz mania. Because, Annalise also doesn't believe that Martha was on the moon. They also say, geez, what do you Annalise can't even handle quiz mania. That's what the sister says. Everybody storms off, and oh boy, is the next 5 minutes fun and wild. We see the doctor smiling. He's leaning up against a wall, and Martha turns her head, and the doctor does make this kind of seductive come along look, more of a fun seduction, and he slinks into an alleyway. She follows, and then when she comes into the alley, he's kicking back on the TARDIS. New shoes, white All-Stars on. And let's see, let me look at the thing. She says, I went to the moon today. And he goes, yeah, a bit more peaceful than that party. She goes, who are you? He goes, the doctor. And she goes, what species? I don't get to ask a lot of that. He goes, Time Lord. She goes, oh, that's not pompous at all. And he goes, well, I thought since you really helped me out and you got a sonic screwdriver, which needed road testing, you might want a trip. And she goes, into space. He goes, well, and she goes, well, I can't. I got exams, rent, and my family. And the doctor goes, well, I can travel in time as well. And she goes, nah, get out of here. He goes, well, I can. And she goes, come on. And he goes, I can prove it. So he goes back in the TARDIS. It goes. And then Martha's kind of what the heck? Then it comes back. And the doctor comes out. He's holding his tie from the morning. And he goes, told you so. And she goes, but that was the morning. And she goes, oh, wait, you did travel in time. Why didn't you tell me anything? And he says, crossing into established events is forbidden, except for, doing funny stuff, little stuff like this, flirty stuff. And she says, well, that's your spaceship? He goes, TARDIS, time and relative dimension in space. And she's on the outside of TARDIS. She goes, this is made of wood. It's a spaceship. And then she goes, well, there can't be much room in there. It'd be a little bit intimate. And the doctor goes, well, take a look. He didn't say take a look in a book, butterfly in the sky, but, and she looks in the TARDIS. She goes, no. And she goes, this is just a box, but how's it how's it like that? And she goes, how does it do that? It's a wood. It's just a box with a room inside. And she goes, it's bigger on the inside, which I think someone else has said. And then the doctor says, is it? I hadn't even noticed. And then he kind of closes the door behind her. And he says, okay, well, what do you say we get going? And she goes, well, is there a crew, like a navigator? Where is everybody? Doctor goes, just me. She goes, all on your own, eh? And he goes, well, sometimes I have guests. I mean, friends, totally friends, friends like Rose. He goes, we were together. So anyway, and Martha says, where's she now? Doctor goes, totally with her fam, kicking it. got back together with her ex, maybe. I don't know. He goes, not that you're replacing her. And Martha goes, never said I was. And the doctor goes, yeah, just one trip, period. Then I bring you back home. I'm going to be on my own. And then there's such good I mean, the chemistry between the actors is she goes, well, you're the one that kissed me. The doctor goes, well, that was a genetic transfer. And she goes, and you if you wear a tight suit. And I said, whoa, wait a second. Am I reading this? Like, I literally was sweating. And she goes, you travel across the universe to ask me on a date? And the doctor goes, stop it. And she goes, for the record, not interested. I only go for humans. And the doctor goes, good, let's get out of here. He goes, gravic anomalizer, helmet regulator, handbrake. You ready? He gets that look on his face. She goes, no. And then they start to go, but of course it doesn't go smooth like everything. You could blimey, a bit bumpy, Martha says. And the doctor says, welcome aboard, Miss Jones. And she says, it's my pleasure, Mr. Smith. Okay, so a couple of things I looked up. Quizmania is a British, according to Wikipedia, it's a British interactive game show designed by Chuck Thomas, Debbie King, and Simone Thorogood. It was on the air August 2005 to March 2006, December 2005, January 2007. Similar to other premium line call-in shows, you had to use a premium number to provide a quiz question or answer it. Its last ever broadcast was January 2007 with Greg Scott and Debbie King. Let's see, in background, in 2003, working for E4 as an anchor presenter, Debbie King on another German quiz show called 9 Live, pitched it in the UK. It was produced as Bowling for Bucks. Then they were commissioned to create a show called Quizmania, a 5-hour slot on satellite channel Information TV. And then after 9 months, it was picked up by ITV for their nighttime slot. Wow, that's cool. Original run was broadcast from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. In order to win money, it cost 75p to call in from a BT landline, up from 60p. And if you were successful, you were put on hold, transferred to the studio, and if selected, you went on the show to deliver answers. You could win 50 to 25,000 pounds, and then once there was 100,000 pounds as a prize. They gave away 1.2 million pounds in the first 2 weeks, ended in 2007, revived with a different format. But in 2007, and I think there's shows about this, that these shows weren't properly audited. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something coming out. I don't know if it's about this show or something else. I did know I saw a preview somewhere or something. Okay, Sharpie is a permanent marker. It has been widely expanded, and now it was like a brand for non-permanent markers and other things. But it was originally a name designating a permanent marker, launched in 1964. And it also became the first pen-style permanent marker. It also makes a popular highlighter brand, Accent, which was repositioned under the Sharpie brand name. There's also Sharpie Minis. They've sponsored racing. They've had many famous people. It's hard to get it off, but it's because it's supposed to be a permanent marker. A dry erase marker may be used successful in removing Sharpie ink by covering it using 3 to 4 pen strokes, according to this. Also, T.O. made like a famous by Sharpie by signing it, signing a football during a game. Let's see. I want to look up joshing me. Let's see. What is this? Is from True West Magazine. I'm just joshing you. TrueWestMagazine.com. This is from October 19th, 2017. Marshall Trimble says that the origins go back to 1883 when the U.S. Mint unwittingly introduced a new liberty in nickel. The face on one side was the goddess of liberty. On the reverse, it had the Roman numeral 5. And instead of the usual 5 cents, this opportunity provided people to, because the coin looked a little bit like a $5 gold piece. So if someone was caught, they'd say, all you had to say was like, I was just joking or pulling your leg. I don't know, I wonder if this is true. And then one of these famous people that was doing this was Josh Tatum, who did this. Interesting. I'm going to have to reach out and see if there's any podcast episodes about that. That's really, really interesting. This episode took place on the moon, which is thought to have been formed 4.51 billion years ago, according to Wikipedia. 5th largest satellite in our solar system. Second densest satellite among what satellites' densities are known. The moon might have been left over from a bump that Earth took with somebody else. It's in synchronous rotation with Earth, so we always see the same side of the moon. Because of libration, slightly more than half of the lunar surface can be viewed from Earth, 59%. And the side we see is marked by, a lot of stuff that went on Earth, on the moon. Second brightest celestial object visible in Earth's sky. Its surface is actually dark, but compared to the night sky, it's bright. When it has a reflectance, its reflectance is just higher than worn asphalt, and has gravitational influence. Its orbital distance is about 384,000 kilometers or 238,000 miles, 1.28 light seconds. So what'd they say, 250,000 miles away, yeah, in the episode. I'm trying to think anything else interesting about the moon. The Luna was used in scientific writing to personify the Earth's moon. Cynthia is another poetic name for the moon. Selene is the Greek goddess of the moon. The English adjective pertaining to the moon is lunar. From the Latin word for moon, luna. The adjective Selenian is derived from the Greek word of the moon, Selene, Selene, which describes the moon as a world rather than an object in the sky. Now, selenic used to be a synonym. Now it refers to the chemical element selenium. The Greek word for the moon does provide us with the prefix seleno, as in seleniography, the study of the physical features of the moon, and selenium. The Greek goddess of wilderness and hunt, Artemis, was equated with the moon. Diana, who was one of the symbols. The moon was one of her symbols. And she was a goddess of the moon, also called Cynthia, from her birthplace, Mount Cynthius. And those also have something to do with different types of lunar orbits. I'm trying to think anything else. This is all from Wikipedia. The moon rules. Definitely. Let's see. Compounds in the moon. Silica, alumina, lime, iron oxide, magnesia, titanium dioxide, and sodium oxide are what make up the surface of the moon. There's so much about the moon. Obviously, we could talk more about it at another point. But for this show, moon is associated with bedtime and good nights. All right, I want to thank everybody who listened, became a patron. I want to thank Kim, Janine, and Joy. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Amanda, Tori, and Nicholas. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Annie, Veronica, and Kathleen. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Sabrina, Sean, and Brian. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Jeff, Diana, and Mandy. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Casey, Kayla, and Alyssa. Thanks, and good night. Ken, Amber, and Kat. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Suzanne, Jen, and Kate. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Karen, Jem, and Jose. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Victoria, Allison, and Jessica. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Melania, Bruce, and Lindsay. Thank you. Thank you. And good night. Lisanne, Lino, and Mark. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Carl, Shelley, and Caitlin. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Sarah, Mike, and Ryan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Caitlin, Lene, and Tova. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Karen, Evan, and Heather. Thanks, and good night. Andrew, Brittany, and Paige. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. And Lucy and Jill. Thanks, and good night. Thanks, and good night to everybody who supports the show. Assuming me is able to be a free podcast because of people that support the show directly on Patreon or support our sponsors or buy our merch. That's how we're able to keep bringing the show twice a week. And we grow as a podcast by people just naturally spreading the word when they have a chance. So I appreciate that as well. So thank you so much for that. And speaking of spreading the word, here's a podcast I want you to know about.